Welcome back to Brass Tacks. A deadly terror attack took place in Jammu's Reasi just hours before the new government of Modi 3.0 was to take oath. On Sunday night, terrorists struck in Reasi in the relatively peaceful Jammu region. This attack took place on a bus which was carrying pilgrims from the Shiv Khori temple who were then headed to Katra. Because of the attack, the bus driver lost control of the bus and the bus then fell into a deep gorge. The pilgrims in the bus included children as well as women. The Resistance Front, or the TRF, which is an offshoot of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, has claimed responsibility for the attack. TRF has also vowed to continue attacks on non-locals in Jammu and Kashmir. Security forces have launched search operations to hunt down the terrorists. Prime Minister Modi took stock of the situation and vowed to punish the culprits. The opposition has also hit out at the government and its claims of normalcy and peace in the valley after the abrogation of Article 370. It has sounded alarm bells for the security agencies as the Union Territory is now headed for polls as well. They have to finish the polls there before the 30th of September. So now it seems like the onus of the terror or the epicenter of the terror is moving away from Srinagar and other parts of Kashmir and moving into the Rajouri-Poonch area. So the big question is, it's clear that this was orchestrated at the behest of Pakistan, and that too, the timing of it, timed to the swearing in of the Narendra Modi government 3.0. How should India respond? Today, of course, there was an exchange, a Twitter exchange between both Shahbaz Sharif and Nawaz Sharif. They congratulated the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister also responded to that on the platform X. But how should India respond to this terror attack? G. Parthasarathy is former Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan. Mr. S.P. Vaid is former DGP of Jammu and Kashmir. Let me start with Mr. Vaid, because Mr. Vaid, it was said that after 370, the number of terror incidents has come down, and there are absolute numbers to show that. But yesterday's attack, it's clear to me that it was timed with the oath-taking of the Prime Minister. It was timed to disrupt and send out a negative message. How should India look at yesterday's attack? And now that TRF has claimed responsibility, and we know what the antecedents of TRF are, how should India look at yesterday's attack, particularly in the context of this new government, a government which may have wanted to start on a fresh page with Pakistan, but clearly after yesterday, do you see that happening?
Good evening, Zaka. What you said is, I absolutely agree. This is time to the swearing-in ceremony of the Honorable Prime Minister with his new cabinet for the third time. And the message is very, very clear. They wanted to send a clear message to the new government that we can strike at will wherever we want, and you need to listen, because if you see, Pakistan is the only country which India did not invite, and I was watching on the Pakistan channels how much they were bugged up about this issue, that we have not been called. Every other neighbor has been called for the swearing in, and I think that there were clear directions from the deep state of Pakistan to their cronies, terrorists operating in the Rajouri-Poonch area, which is just adjoining to Reasi district, where this incident, exactly the place is Triat, where it has happened, where Shiv Khori shrine is located. That is the message which this incident has sent. And in fact, the new government starts with a negative note of whatever impact it will have on the relations of India and Pakistan.
Ambassador Parthasarathy, Mr. Vaid is absolutely right. There was this familiar call from a certain ecosystem yesterday saying, except Pakistan, all the other neighbors have been called: Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, even with Maldives, with whom we've not had great relations in the last few months. Even the president of Maldives was invited, but Pakistan was not invited. But, how do you invite Pakistan, especially after what happened yesterday? This is exactly what a lot of people, including you, have been arguing, that until this terror tap is switched off, and we're not seeing any evidence of that given what happened yesterday, why should Pakistan be invited?
Well, that's a very good question and a very relevant one. Look over. You have to look over developments in Pakistan over the past 6 months or so. Firstly, You have an appointment of a new army chief, Asim Munir, who, unlike his predecessor, General Bajwa, who realized the consequences of enhanced terrorism on India, this man is a loose cannon. From everything he has said, from everything one knows, and from the way, in fact, he's treating civilians as though it is under military rule in Pakistan itself. So you have Pakistan with a military chief on the warpath. And I've always maintained Asim Munir is bad news. And therefore, uh, he would be more than happy if he does this. And I wouldn't be surprised. You have a weak government headed by a person whom I know personally, Shehbaz Sharif, who is more rational and sort of balanced than most people I've known in Islamabad. So obviously this has a military hand, and Asim Munir is centering it because it's the line he pushes. It's the line he wants to keep the army center stage.
But how
So
should then
how
India respond? We've seen both Nawaz Sharif and Shahbaz Sharif congratulate the Prime Minister today on Twitter, and the Prime Minister has responded there as well. Like you said, of all the various civilian regimes we've seen in the past, perhaps the Sharifs were the ones that India perhaps had the most hope from in terms of, bettering the bilateral relationship. So how should India respond given what happened yesterday?
First thing, I wouldn't trust both the Sharif brothers. Don't forget the elder brother started off the Kargil conflict. It's the younger brother who's a technology man who, when I spoke to him last in Lahore, all he was interested in doing is sending a delegation to India, to Bangalore, to study information technology there. So I don't think the Prime Minister has a hand. His brother will be ambivalent, though outside he will swear friendship. And therefore you're into a peculiar situation. My answer is, I've been very clear about this. We should have retribution if this continues at a time and place of our choice.
So the
It is to tell
retribution part,
the,
Mr. Vaid, of course, when you have a government at 303, politically it's easier to execute something like that. But a government at 240, and there are other pressures as well. It's not just Jammu and Kashmir. There are pressures that we're seeing in Punjab as well. How does the government's response change by nature of the difference in the mandate?
Zaka, I completely agree with Mr. Parth Sathi. Ultimately, India need to take action on 3-4 fronts. Number one, clean up your own backyard. And I think we need to address what is happening in Rajouri Poonch for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We have seen so many attacks. Maybe you need to induct more troops. Maybe you need to have a coordinated, unified command working, improve your intelligence, involve local people, village defense committees, all technology part, everything, drones, whatever you can do. See that this area, it does not spread to other further more areas of Jammu region. So I think so far from it was restricted to Poonch, then it came to Rajouri, and now Reasi. My worry is there is Vaishno Devi ahead of this area.
Correct.
And then where lakhs of even more than crore people come for darshan. Then you have assembly election coming up, the Amarnath Yatra. So all these things make it very, very sensitive, and we need to take care of that. Number two, I think maybe the point Mr. Pasati said, that government of India will have at an appropriate time think of the action. Maybe what government has come with a less majority this time. But what we know of Mr. Modi, he is a man of action and a strong leader. And I don't think this coalition government will have any effect on him. I think when it is a matter of nation, everyone will be standing with him, and we must take action make it very heavy for the Pakistan army to venture like this.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Mr. Ved, Mr. Parthasarathy, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see what the government's response will be to this, as Mr. Parthasarathy said, at a time and place of its choosing. But it's clear the message from the Pakistani side, that too on the day that Mr. Modi's government was being sworn in, to have an attack of this nature is a deliberate and needless provocation. Let's see what the Indian side's response will be. That's a wrap from me, Zakir Jacob. If you want to know who's made it to the Modi cabinet and what portfolio each of them have got, go to our website, news18.com. From me and the team, thank you very much for tuning in. You are tuned in to Brass Tacks, coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio.